How's it going, everybody? And the best is, the best always, the best ever will be. There'll be none before me, and there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only Jay Kofi, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. It's all about King of the Ring this week. There'll be no Raw and SmackDown reviews as we are focusing on the King of the Ring tournament and what is leading to in Saudi Arabia. We will have the news of the week, though, followed by my predictions for King and Queen of the Ring. And then I will go into a review of King of the Ring 1998. Considered one of the best pay-per-views of all time. I will then do a drink of the week followed by your Battle Droid of the week. Let's get into news though. As it looks like an unfortunate surgery is needed for an AEW top star. Bryan Danielson will need major neck surgery soon, as apparently he hurt his neck real bad and he had to wrestle Will Ospreay and he's got to give him a lot of offense, and apparently that just tweaked even worse. This is a sad thing to see. Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, has had a history of neck injuries. It actually forced WWE to have him retire, kind of like Edge. So now for him to be going through it again in AEW really does suck, and I wish him well. His recovery time will be unknown until he does get the surgery. For all we know, this could be a career ender. If it is, thank you for everything he has done. I got to see him wrestle WrestleMania 35. The guy is a main eventer beyond dreams. And we have an update on WWE Saudi Arabia deal, as apparently the original deal was for 10 years, and in the next 6 to 12 months, the deal will probably be expanded. It's a good deal for both parties. As I have stated before, WWE has been really some of the game changers for the Saudi Arabia political change in the country. There is still a lot that needs to be fixed in Saudi Arabia. There is no question. The corruption and the death that has gone must change, but they're clearly working to the right way. And some sad news is former TNA wrestler Bad Bones passed away this week. He passed away yesterday. This is very sad. He would actually be a very good friend of Cody Rhodes. And to see him, he has wrestled in TNA and Impact. He made a short appearance in 2017, but unfortunately he has not really appeared since, and he is now passed away. Rest in peace to Bad Bones. For that, he will receive the 10-bell salute. May he rest in peace. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go on to the King of the Ring tournament, and then we will cover the Queen of the Ring, and then we will go over the whole pay-per-view. So, King of the Ring tournament started on Raw with Gunther and Sheamus and then you had Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio. Now, Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio would take place on a house show, which was definitely very weird to see. You would have Gunther defeat Sheamus on Raw in the main event in a hard-fought main event. Definitely went to show the courage and the chemistry these guys have in the ring. Anytime these two locked up, it was a show. You would also have Ishla Dragunov versus Ricochet in a 14-minute match. Jey Uso versus Finn Balor. Jey Uso replacing Drew McIntyre. Jey Uso would pick up the win over Finn Balor, and you would have Ishla Dragunov pick up the win over Ricochet in a hard-fought match. After this, you would get Jey Uso. Excuse me, I had to sneeze and didn't want to blow out everybody's eardrums. Ishla Dragunov would then face Jey Uso in the in the, let's make sure everything is the quarterfinals, you would have Jey Uso go over Ilja Dragunov in a great match, and people were complaining that Ilja deserved to win. He did, but Jey Uso was the better man that night, and I'm sure there is nothing but a bright future for Dragunov. You would then have Gunther defeat Kofi Kingston by submission in a 13-minute match. There was no question Gunther was going over here. Gunther would defeat Kofi Kingston in a nice little match, actually a very good show for Kofi Kingston. After this, Gunther would defeat Jey Uso to move on to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament in a 17-minute hard-fought match, surprisingly, by Jey. Now on to the SmackDown side of the King of the Ring. So we have one member of the finals. Alright, Gunther. You would have AJ Styles take on Randy Orton in a WrestleMania 35 rematch. For those of you who don't remember that awesome feud that they had into WrestleMania 35, because everybody was focused on lights in that match, it really was a very good match, and I feel like AJ and Randy don't get enough credit for that. Randy Orton would pick up the win with an RKO. You would then have Carmelo Hayes defeat Baron Corbin in a 6-minute match, Baron Corbin's return match to SmackDown. Randy Orton would then defeat Carmelo Hayes in a 10-minute match. After this, you would get L.A. Knight, defeat Santos Escobar in a house show. And Angelo Dawkins would then take on Tama Tonga in Tama Tonga's first match on SmackDown. Tama Tonga would beat him in 2 minutes flat. Very cool for Tama Tonga. He would then defeat L.A. Knight, and is going on to face Randy Orton in the semifinals on Friday on SmackDown. If I had to choose, even though they're building Tama Tonga very well, I would still give it to Randy Orton, and then it will be Randy Orton versus Gunther in the King of the Ring finals. If I have to pick a match of the tournament so far, it has definitely been Gunther versus Sheamus, in my opinion. Let's move on to the Queen of the Ring, as Shayna Baszler was able to defeat Maxine Dupri on a house show by submission. You would then have Io Sky defeat Natalya in a 10-minute match. And then Io Sky and Shayna Baszler were going to have another 10-minute match. These two had one hell of a feud in NXT. The chemistry was obviously still there, as they had a great match in a 10-minute match where Io Sky would pick up the win. You would then have Dakota Kai versus Leah Valkyria in her first match on Raw, and Leah Valkyria would pick up the win. Shout out to her, I really enjoyed that booking. You would then have Zoe Stark versus Ivy Nile in a nice little 6-minute match, nothing to write home about. Zoe Stark would pick up the win, only to lose to Leah Valkyria in the next round. Finally, it came into the last round on Raw in the semifinals, where Leah Valkyria would pick up the win in a great match versus Io Sky. Probably the second best match in the tournament, in my opinion. I'll let you know who I thought was the best in a little while. We then get the SmackDown side of things, as you would have Naomi and Nia Jax take on each other in the first round, with Nia Jax squashing Naomi in an 8-minute match. I really don't know why Naomi came back to WWE if she's just going to lose these matches. I understand that it was a better, probably, career move for her, but I felt that she was doing awesome in Impact. Just my opinion. You would then have Jade Cargill versus Piper Niven, as Jade Cargill would pick up the win in her singles match, really SmackDown debut, in a 5-minute 23 match. After this, Jade Cargill would lose to Nia Jax via DQ in a 2-minute 37 match. You would then get 2 house shows, as Tiffany Stratton would defeat Michi and Mia Yim, and Bianca Belair would pick up the win over Candice LeRae in a 2-minute match. We would then get Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton in a hard-fought match, which would actually see Bianca Belair go over Tiffany Stratton, which I thought was a dark horse to win this tournament. You now have Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair in the semifinals to decide who will go to Saudi Arabia in the Queen of the Ring tournament. My head says Nia Jax, my heart says Bianca Belair, but I'm going with Nia Jax, which will come down to Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax. So, 5 matches have been announced for WWE King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. You have Sami Zayn defending his IC title against Chad Gable and Bronson Reed. If I had to choose right now, I think the right move would be put it on Bronson Reed and have Sami Zayn move on to feud for the WWE World Heavyweight title with Damian Priest. I think that would be a great move. We have Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. I want to say Liv Morgan, but I see Becky Lynch holding on to the title here. In your Queen of the Ring final, in my opinion, Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax. I see Lyra picking up the win and becoming Queen of the Ring. And finally, Gunther versus Randy Orton. You know, Randy Orton has done everything in this business. Everything except win King of the Ring. And I don't think he will today. I see them putting it on Gunther and then having him later on go challenge Damian Priest for the title a little while down the road, maybe at SummerSlam or sometime down there. And finally, Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul in a singles match for the undisputed WWE Championship. It's Cody Rhodes. There's no question, it's Cody Rhodes. But look for this match to steal the fucking show. This will be a great match, in my opinion. I have no problem saying that. I could easily see Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul tearing the fucking house down. So, those are my predictions for King and Queen of the Ring. Maybe look out for a tag team match to be thrown in there, a tag team championship match, as you would have Miz and R-Truth retain on this week's Raw. I could easily see Miz and R-Truth defending the titles at King of the Ring. Maybe you would have A-Town Down Under defend their titles. I don't know, but I could see that happening. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to look at what is called one of the best pay-per-views ever. It has been called that because of a couple great matches on this card. Coming to you live in 1998 from the Pittsburgh Penguins Civic Arena, the Igloo. I always loved that name. I really always did. With an attendance of 17,000, a buy rate of 385,000. It was a night for the ages. You would have the Headbangers in Taka Makino versus, I'll never be able to say this right, it would be Funaki, Mentilo, and Dick Tonga in a 6-man tag team match. The Headbangers would pick up the win in a 6-minute just right off tag team match. Alright, again, nothing to write home about. But still, a fun little match to open the night. They would only get better from here, as you would have Ken Shamrock versus Jeff Jarrett in a semifinal King of the Ring. Ken Shamrock would pick up the win over Jeff Jarrett. There was no question that once they announced this match, Ken was going over. You would then get The Rock versus Dan Severn. If anybody who doesn't remember Dan Severn, he was one of the big badasses out of UFC, one of the first true people to compete in UFC. He competed at UFC 5, became their super fight champion, and went on to hold a lot of gold on the independent scene. The Rock would come out ahead, though, in this match with the Rock Bottom for a 4-minute 25 match to move on to the King of the Ring finals. You would then get Too Much Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor versus Al Snow in the head in a tag team match with Jerry Lawler as a special guest referee. Yes, this was the match where Brian Christopher pinned Head because Jerry Lawler gave him Head and Shoulders shampoo and gave Head Shoulders to be pinned. Attitude Era booking, everyone. You would then have X-Pac defeat Owen Hart in an actually very forgotten classic on this show. X-Pac and Owen Hart had amazing in-ring chemistry, and it's a shame we never got to see really that more of the in-ring chemistry as Owen Hart would pass away later in the next year. You would then get the New Age Outlaws versus the Midnight Express. New Age Outlaws defending their titles, and what a defense it was in a 9-minute match. The New Age Outlaws, it was a great night for D-Generation X. The New Age Outlaws picking up the win in a 9-minute match defending their titles. You then get the King of the Ring tournament final of the Ken Shamrock versus The Rock. One man would go on to become the face of the company, one of the best ever to do it in the ring. He would become a Hollywood star. He would become something truly amazing in the wrestling industry. The other guy won King of the Ring. Ken Shamrock is a legit badass who could beat the living fuck out of me any day of the week. Same with Dan Severn. But it should have been The Rock. There was no question. Ken Shamrock would never hold anything more than the IC title in WWE. I believe he would win the TNA title, and then Severn would go on to hold titles outside of WWE. I believe he would hold the NWA title, but it was The Rock. How the hell did The Rock not win King of the Ring that year? I guess they saw more in Ken Shamrock, even though they would never pull the trigger on him. It was a great 14-minute match, but Ken Shamrock would never be the star that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is. So, just my opinion there. The Rock should have won, but still a great match, and Ken Shamrock picks up the win and becomes King of the Ring. Now we're here. The match that changed professional wrestling has been talked about over and over. It's a 17-minute Hell in a Cell match. One side you got the Phenom, one of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest to ever do it, The Undertaker, versus Mankind. Mick Foley, a 3-time WWF champion, Hall of Famer, guy who's done everything in this industry and is not afraid to sacrifice his body. Locked inside Hell in a Cell. Now, Mick Foley would actually start the match on top of the cell, and he's talked about this at length in his Mick Foley one-man show. I believe it's 20 Years of Hell. He covered it in 2018, and it's an amazing show. I recommend you go watch it. But Mick Foley would say in this show, when he climbed the cell, which he didn't want to do, he was scared of heights. It was his idea to originally go to the top, but once he got up there, he goes, I've made a mistake. And you would actually have The Undertaker follow him up. Undertaker climbed up that cell with no footholds, with a broken foot. And history would be made. These two would brawl on top of the cell. You would actually, I love the line Mick Foley says, I went for a suplex, and The Undertaker shot that shit down in a hurry. They would brawl to the edge, and Mick Foley would just have 2 words that changed wrestling history. Throw me. He would ask The Undertaker to throw him off the cell, and he did. And then in the hockey arena, the Igloo, an unknown hockey chant would start. The Let's Go Penguins. Except it'd be different. Undertaker. Mick Foley's always said, he just threw me. I'm the one who went off the cell. Mick Foley would then climb back up the cell after they tried to take him away. He said he wished he had enough strength to exchange with The Undertaker when he got up on top of the cell, but he's thankful he didn't, because then he would have had enough strength to go up for the choke slam. Which, if he did, he would have landed high in his neck and would have never wrestled again. And The Undertaker confirmed that, said, yeah, I have no disbelief that that's what will have happened. They land, Undertaker crawls and comes off the cell, looks at Terry Funk, may he rest in peace, and says, "Go see if he's alive." Terry Funk goes, checks Mick's pulse, and comes back to the Undertaker and says, "Yeah, he's still breathing." Gets chokeslammed out of his shoes, to which Mick Foley did say, when he opened his eyes, he just wondered, whose shoes are those? Undertaker would then start beating the crap out of Foley. Foley would get up, fight back, grab Tim White, who was the referee at the match, and would say, "Where are the tacks?" He would lay out tacks. Undertaker would tombstone Mick Foley into the tacks. 17 minutes. 1, 2, 3. Mick Foley always did say that he kicked his leg just a little bit, just to show he still had a dog in this fight. Undertaker picks up the win in one of the most well-known. You ask people, hey, you know what the Hell in the Cell match is? That's when Mick Foley got thrown off the fucking cell, is their answer. And then now to the main event. I don't know how you followed that. Kane and Stone Cold Steve Austin said to have a little heat with The Undertaker and Mankind because they were mad that they had to follow that amazing match. It would be a first blood match for a WWF champion. Had Kane lost the match, he would have had to set himself on fire. It was an awesome match. These two would do everything. You would actually have Kane holding Stone Cold Steve Austin under the cell as the cell would lower, and it looked like Stone Cold was going to get impaled, but he rolls out of the way at the last second. Goes for a chair shot on Kane, and The Undertaker ends up hitting Stone Cold Steve Austin. You would have Mankind do a run-in, which Mick Foley said, "At this time, I was a heel. I was supposed to get booed. I was going out there for heat." And everyone in the crowd was like, maybe you've had enough. Maybe you should go home. Undertaker would hit Stone Cold by accident with the chair. He and Mick Foley would fight off. Busted Stone Cold open. Kane is your new WWF champion. For the first time and only time ever, he would then lose the title the next night on Raw to Stone Cold Steve Austin, which he said he had no problem doing. This is the show of shows. If you mention King of the Ring, first thing that comes to people's mind, Hell in a Cell, 1998. You mention Hell in a Cell, first thing that comes to people's mind, 1998, King of the Ring. You ask, who are the two guys for Hell in a Cell? Mick Foley and Undertaker. This match inspired so many people to get into the business. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Cody. You would have people like Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Triple H. Everyone would say, look at this match. It's one of the greatest matches ever. And I can't disagree. It's an amazing match. It's an amazing show. If I had to grade the show A+, this is the show to go back and watch. It is truly unbelievable. It is definitely one of my favorite shows ever. It is definitely one of my favorite matches ever. Whew, I could use a drink. How about a Rex on the beach inspired by Star Wars? Captain Rex, one of the most iconic clone troopers of all time, and definitely one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. For those of you who don't know, he would show up in Episode 6 and was the old rebel in Episode 6. The ingredients are as follows: 2 ounces of coconut rum, 1 ounce of rum shot of lemon, three-quarters of an ounce of lemon juice, 3 ounces of club soda, and 5 ounces of blue curacao. Shake everything with ice and add your soda, Pour over the ice, add in the soda, layer a little blue curacao on top. It's similar to a blue Hawaiian. It is a great drink. It was rated 9 out of 10 by Sin City bartenders, and it is truly delicious. If you're looking for a fun drink, this is what I would recommend. Please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Do not drink if you're under 21 in the United States, and do not overconsume on alcohol. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Baldroid of the Week. The Baldroid of the Week this week is these people who care who Liv Morgan is dating right now. Liv Morgan went on a podcast, and the first question she was really asked was, are you still dating Bo Dallas? Who cares? That's her personal life. I'm not here to care if Liv Morgan's dating. Because you know what? She ain't going to look in the crowd and go, ooh, that guy, I'm gonna go date that fat podcaster up there with the beard and everything. Yeah. No. They are performers. They are regular people. Let the performance do one thing. Let the personal lives be completely hidden from the public, in my opinion. I don't want to hear about their personal lives. I want to just enjoy the wrestling. I don't care if they're dating anyone. I don't care. That's their business. Let's not pry into people. Let's not do all this. Just let them enjoy their lives. And because of that, the people who care, you are the Baldroid of the Week. Congratulations.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I have been the big guy. This has been Wrestling Made Simple. Next week, we will go over King of the Ring and all of the things that happened in Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much for listening. I've been the big guy. Have a great week in wrestling.